Close your eyes for a second and remember the year 2000. It wasn't that long ago, was it? Remember the feeling of that era? The scent of a new car in a driveway in a quiet suburb of London, Toronto, or Chicago. Back then, the rules of the game felt honest. If you worked hard, if you showed up every day, you could own a home. It wasn't a luxury or a miracle. It was a natural right. It was the foundation of the social contract, that a man could build a fortress for his family with his own two hands and a steady job. We must remember that in the year 2000, we were living in a world of relative stability. The digital revolution was just beginning, and the global economy felt like a rising tide meant to lift all boats. You could save 15% of your paycheck, and in 5 years you had a down payment. You weren't racing against a clock that moved faster than your ability to earn. But that contract wasn't just broken, it was shredded. But as we stand here in 2026, we have to ask, what happened? We didn't stop working hard. We didn't become less ambitious. In fact, we are more productive than ever. So why has the very dream our fathers held in their hands turned into a fading ghost for us? Why does the ground beneath our feet feel like it's constantly shifting, moving further out of reach no matter how fast we run? To understand this, we have to look at the invisible forces that reshaped our world over the last 25 years. We have to look at the broken triangle of our economy, the connection between global policy, the cost of conflict, and your front door. In the year 2000, the average home in the United States, Canada, or the UK cost roughly 3 to 4 times the median annual income. Today, in many of our cities, that number has climbed to 8, 10, or even 15 times. This isn't just market fluctuation. This is a fundamental erosion of the middle class. Since 2001, trillions of dollars across the US, UK, and Canada have flowed into global security and external conflicts. Now, regardless of where you stand on policy, as an economist of the heart, I want you to see the hidden cost. These trillions didn't come from a magical chest of gold. They were printed into existence. And when a government prints money at that scale, it triggers a mechanism called the Cantillon Effect. Think of the economy as a giant swimming pool. When the government pumps in trillions of new dollars, those closest to the pipe, the big banks, the massive corporations, and the institutional lenders, get the water while it's still fresh. They use that new money to buy real assets, land, property, and resources. By the time that water reaches your end of the pool, your paycheck, the prices of everything have already risen. You are getting the diluted version of the currency, while the assets you want to buy have been bid up by those who got the money first. It is a silent, invisible tax on your future. By the time that money reaches your paycheck, it has already done its damage. It has already bid up the price of assets, the price of land, the price of timber, the price of the very bricks you need to build a life. You are paying for global ambitions with the square footage of your children's bedrooms. You are paying for security with the loss of your own financial sanctuary. And it's not just inflation. The very nature of a home has changed. In 2000, when you went to an open house, you were competing with another family just like yours. You were looking at a kitchen and seeing a place to have Sunday dinner. But today the battlefield has changed. You are competing with algorithms. You are competing with hedge funds and multi-billion-dollar corporations who see your neighborhood as a yield-bearing asset. In the great cities of the West, from Vancouver to Manchester to Austin, houses are being snatched up by entities that will never live in them. They aren't looking for a home. They are looking for a hedge against the very inflation their systems created. In some markets, nearly 30% of single-family homes are now being bought by institutional investors. They aren't just buying houses. They are buying the very concept of ownership and renting it back to you at a premium. It is a modern form of feudalism, and it is happening under the guise of market efficiency. Let's look at the three sisters of this crisis. In Canada, housing has become a national religion, but the cost of entry is now a lifetime of debt. We see the phenomenon of ghost towers in Toronto and Vancouver, luxury condos owned by overseas investors that sit dark at night, while the working class is forced into 2-hour commutes. The bubble there has grown so large it threatens the very soul of the country. In the United Kingdom, the old guard of brick and mortar is under siege. We are seeing a generation rent that has given up. With limited land, archaic planning laws, and skyrocketing energy costs, the British dream of a castle has turned into a cold reality of survival in cramped, overpriced apartments. And in the United States, the engine of the world is stuttering. Interest rates, used as a weapon to fight the inflation they created, have frozen the market. We have a lock-in effect, where families are trapped in homes they've outgrown because they can't afford to trade a 3% mortgage for a 7% one. Meanwhile, the young are locked out entirely, watching the ladder of social mobility being pulled up right as they reach for the first rung. This is the Great Divergence, a time where the gap between the cost of living and the reward for labor has become a canyon. It's a world where hard work is no longer the primary variable for success. Access to cheap credit and existing assets is. It is easy to feel angry. It is easy to feel defeated when you see the numbers. But I am telling you this because I believe in you. I believe that every person listening to my voice deserves the dignity of their own space. You deserve a place where you can close the door, exhale, and know that you are safe. You deserve to see the fruits of your labor manifest in something real, something solid, something you can leave to the next generation. The economic battleground isn't just about charts and red lines. It's about our lives. It's about why a father in 2026 has to work twice as long as his father did for half the security. It's about understanding that the system was redesigned while we were busy working. But here is the truth. Knowledge is the first step toward reclamation. When you understand why the prices are rising, when you see the link between the printing press and your mortgage rate, you stop blaming yourself for not doing enough. You start to see the map for what it really is. We study the past not to dwell on what was lost, but to arm ourselves for what is coming. I want you to have that home. I want the young couple starting out in Toronto to see a future that isn't paved with rent receipts. I want the worker in Birmingham to feel the weight of his own house keys. I want the family in Ohio to know that the American dream isn't a museum exhibit, but a living, breathing possibility. We will continue to peel back the layers of this canvas together. We will look at the facts with respect, with honesty, and with a commitment to the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Because you are not just a consumer or a data point. You are the heart of our economy, and it is time the economy started beating for you again. Thank you for standing with me on this journey. Thank you for seeking the truth behind the paint. We are here to understand the battle, to navigate the shift, and to eventually find our way back home. This is the economic battleground. Stay strong, stay informed, and remember, your future is worth fighting for. I will see you in the next chapter.